Okay, what up, dudes? Robby Row. We got Yamamoto, just made his spring training debut. This is a really good opportunity to talk about, obviously, the things that he does extremely well, but also really kind of unique, right? Like, very unique delivery that you don't really see, especially in the U.S. First of all, shout out to the Major League Baseball. To the Major League Baseball. That's not how you write that. MLB's killing it this year in spring training. They're killing it with the content that they're producing. I'm really excited to see how far we've come just in the last 4 years. I remember how hard it was back in 2019 when I was starting to do more MLB content, MLB breakdowns. It was so hard to find footage, man. But now they're killing it. They're doing a really good job. Shout out MLB. Shout out Pitchers Nation. My guys over there got this video here on the right. And then special shout out to OnForm. OnForm is an app that is downloadable from the App Store. This is the app I'm using, and I'm excited to announce that I've recently just partnered with them for the third year in a row to bring you guys some dope content. Now, Yamamoto, for the breakdown that we're going to do, I'm going to piggyback on something that I was just kind of talking about with one of my remote clients. But we're looking, when it comes to the pitching delivery as a whole, when it comes to the energy production that is available in the delivery and essentially how we get the maximum amount of power output out of our body, out of our arm. We're looking, and this is just my personal opinion, this is how I kind of see pitching mechanics. It's not saying that is right, not saying that's wrong, but I'm looking at 3 major energy sources. And you guys will have to forgive me because I don't even have my Apple Pencil on this trip. I'm in Connecticut right now visiting ATP, and I don't have my Apple Pencil. So I'm trying to grind here with a little stylus and my finger. But we're looking at 3 major energy sources. And I look at this as being a byproduct to what I do a lot of stuff on when it comes to drivers, accelerators, hybrids, basically the way that your body is built anatomically, the production of weight, the stability, all those components of one's personalized body should fit personalized mechanics. Guys of smaller stature, guys of limited size, they're going to be reliant more so upon the amount of acceleration that they can get going down the hill. So that's going to be our first major energy source that we're going to be looking at is acceleration. That was hard. So acceleration, to know acceleration well, is to know that there's a difference between forcing acceleration and authentic acceleration. Forcing acceleration, authentic acceleration. What does the frick that mean? So forcing acceleration is and this isn't necessarily bad or good. I'm actually a kind of an advocate for sometimes forcing acceleration, forcing your body moving through space fast, moving from the time you pick up your lead foot to the time you put it down. Thinking about how quickly you can do that sometimes makes, synchronizes the hand, synchronizes the arm swing, simplifies a lot of things, path of most efficiency, right? But the thing that we kind of forget is that we're the only overhead athletes that can throw on this bad boy. We're throwing on a slope. What does a slope give us? Okay, so the slope's going to give us an opportunity to accelerate if used correctly, right? So that's why you see a lot of youth pitchers on a slope. They'll actually suffer the consequences of having suboptimal throwing mechanics on a mound, but they look good on a flat ground. What's that mean? Well, there's a specific set of stability requirements to actually stabilize your body weight as you move through space on a slope. There's a higher rate of acceleration on that slope. So kids that aren't quite full grown and don't quite have the authentic single leg stability, trunk stability, all these things, what they're going to do is they're going to want to defy forward gravity. They're not going to want to allow that to pull them too far forward, right? So that acceleration is something that Yamamoto obviously does really well. Modified leg lift, you can obviously see by, this is what I talk about in my ebook. I'll link that in the description as well if you're interested to take more deeper dives. But what he does really well is he sets himself up. When we look at the setup of the delivery, what the goal is of the setup, it's just to accomplish an efficient initial move. And the initial move's goal is what are you trying to do? And that's where I say personal acceleration, that's what I say with personal identification of what your body type is, because Yamamoto's clearly cut out to want to accelerate. You can tell that by his setup. Lead leg, it's going to be back. As soon as he crosses over, he's almost doing a walk-in, abbreviated walk-in, right? But he's so controlled. He has so much spatial and body awareness, right? Like he's so controlled as he does this. This is a very difficult move to pull off for a lot of guys. I know I tried it in my past. Sometimes you think you got it, but when you're in a game, right, like game speeds up on you and you start to actually accelerate too much and you kind of get thrown off. So you can see just from that move right there, lead leg becomes extended, meaning kind of neutral, right? Pretty dead. The drive is coming from the drive leg. And you can see with the head posture, the glove side, hands separated already. Like this is just a position that we look at as extremely optimal, right? Because the hands out, glove side's extended, firm. It's going to keep the torso neutral. Eyes are picking up the target. I actually really like what he does as he looks away here. And this is something I've talked about in the past, is like it almost kind of tricks your mind into thinking like more instinctual movements occur instead of the articulation, kind of the robotic movements. So still on the topic of acceleration, I know I get going a little bit too much, but the authentic acceleration aspect of it, right, is different than what I was talking about when you're forcing it, just trying to just accelerate through space. The authentic acceleration would be allowing the slope, right? So if you look at the way the slope is, I think it's an inch slope per inch. Does that make sense? So if we just looked at the pelvis positioning, right, center mass of Yamamoto, he does such a good job of that somewhat balance point, right? But from that peak of that move in which he's neutral, drive leg, motoring here, now the slope angle is going to be matched. It's almost like he's, those things, those little handrails that are coming out of like a coffee shop or something. You kids probably slide down them. It's going to look like that, right? They almost like put your butt on that little slide rail, and it's just going to continuously sync with the slope. Now, obviously, he does such a good job with everything, but like that's the piece of authentic acceleration, is allowing the slope to accelerate you as you hold on to the ground. Okay, so now he's accelerating down the slope while holding the drive, which is our second energy source when we look at ground force production. So the energy you can put into the ground or get back when you anchor into the ground with your lead foot. So ground force, he's doing a really good job. He's not defying gravity too much where he's getting stuck over the rubber. He's accelerating. I think the glove side allows him to do a really good job of kind of keeping all this stacked, allowing his drive leg to motor. As you see, like with that lead leg, they have, this heavy kind of internal rotation. But to me, that's just like the byproduct of, he does such a good job of just keeping the pelvis closed, unfolding those, right? Like see these moves happen, right? The foot's going to turn, it's going to open up. This is that delay, or resist, whatever you want to kind of call it. And then it's the unraveling of that as he anchors down. I call this like the velocity enhancing move. You can see a lot of my stuff on this, on my YouTube. Retract and rotate, right? So this is going to start to rotate inward. This is going to retract. And then you have this super dope diagram that I like to draw because it is our third and most important energy source in the pitching delivery, torque. Or what I say just is rotational energy. So 3 major energy sources. He's checking off all the boxes, and then being the most important one is the amount of rotational energy you can generate. So you can see just from that movement, right, of all these things kind of happening in unison, the hips in the rotation, torso is going to be neutral, hands flipped up, glove sides just kind of peeled off to allow the torso to start rotating through that position, hips in extension, lead leg lands in flexion to block, all these things, right? They're just kind of like checking off the box. I don't love to spend too much time like things on the end of the delivery, right? Because they're pretty much just byproducts of how you set yourself up in the early stages. So then the third energy being the torque, the rotational energy. The goal is, after we look at the segmentation of the lower body, upper body, is like there's a piece that we can generate all the rotational energy in the world, but we got to capture it. Okay, so we got to capture it. What does that mean? The hand has got to be available and up above the elbow, above the shoulder, to then capture this, right? It can't be dragging behind. It can't have to play catch up. It can't be back here. It can't be disconnected. It's got to work within the center of the body. Think about the body, right? Like the center part of the body being the main energy available for the throwing arm to leverage. because we're not trying to use this bad boy to just accelerate and move it through space as quickly as possible. That's not how efficient velocity works, right? It's almost the opposite, right? We're just trying to allow the arm to be kind of along for the ride, while our lower body is the generator of, you know, all these kind of energy sources. And then when it comes time, right, like do less, do less, do less. When it comes time, you anchor down, and then it's like, all right, like let's pull it through, right? Pull it through. Gosh, look at this. Just pull it through. That increases the amount of layback you get, tip of the whip, and then the decel pattern is freaking sensational. Good window to decelerate right there. I think this is a really good option that we're going to probably see a little bit more as we advance into the game, is how guys can kind of capture more you know, momentum. I'm not one to really believe in leg lifts being really vital. I think this is where we get, you know, a pretty good picture of what his lower half is doing, what's motoring the entire kind of vehicle, and then the stability, obviously, of all. So that is what I got on Yamamoto. Shout out MLB, shout out Pitchers Nation for these videos, and then again, guys, shout out to OnForm, which is the application that I'm using to do this video on a iPad. I'm doing this video on an iPad with a cracked screen. That's right here. That's a terrible arrow with my finger. Let's see if I can do my face on it. So see you guys. Hey. Yeah, I'm doing it with this thing. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, do me a favor and go to the description. I'll include some links in there for the more content on some of the things that I'm referring to. Talk about more 3 energy sources and all that stuff. And then throw a link in there for if you want to book an analysis with me. Break down your mechanics, give you some progressions to work on. Be sick. See ya.